Let us move to another topic, namely the Buddhist-Islamic relations. Is there something currently ongoing in Buddhist-Islamic dialogue?
Not large scale, but like in Ladakh, northern India. I think traditionally, very close relation with Buddhist and Islam, Muslim there. So, for example, recently, since many years, I have very close contact with Muslim brothers, sisters, both Shia and Sunni. And recently I was in Ladakh. Same day, first I visited as pilgrimage to Buddhist temple. Then next, Sunni temple, Sunni mosque. Then Shia mosque, same day, same morning. So you see, these Muslim, one of the important world religion, now follower of Islam or Quran, about billion, very important religion. And many Muslim, wonderful people, really wonderful. Some mischievous people, among the Muslims also there are, among the Buddhists also there are, among the Hindus, among the Christians, among the Jews, everywhere. Some mischievous people there. These few mischievous people, they never be represent the whole tradition. We must make distinction. Nowadays, you see, usually you see whenever something happens, they usually people say Muslim terrorist. Or some occasion in Burma, Buddhist terrorist. That's absolutely wrong. So genuine Muslim, genuine Buddhist never indulge to harm other people. The Muslim, according Muslim, Islam, you see, according Quran, you see, every Muslim Islam practitioner must respect others' right. And if create bloodshed, then reality no longer genuine Islam practitioner. And the very meaning. And then the Muslim friend told me, say, the Muslim practitioner must extend love towards entire creature of Allah.
I agree, and still I want to discuss two events that may have shaped in a way the Buddhist Islamic relations. One lies back 15 years ago when the Taliban destroyed the Buddha status in the Bamiyan Valley in Afghanistan. How do you think that these barbarian acts have shaped the Buddhist Islamic relations?
Oh, at that time, some Buddhist country, asked me, as a matter of fact, criticized me. I remain silent about that event. Because I felt the past is past. Today, that area, no Buddhist. So Buddha statue is not much relevant to the local people. I felt that.
That's remarkable.
So I think if you go history, I think the destroyer of Nalanda were Muslim. And I think Buddha Gaya, the stupa temple, also I think a lot of damage by Muslim. So past is past. If we repeat these things, so no value.
Past is past. Now let's move on to the present. And you also mentioned just a moment ago Burma, the situation in Myanmar, where we know that there is persecution of the Muslim minority of the Rohingyas, and the the leading figure of Myanmar, the chief diplomat, Aung San Suu Kyi, who is also, like you, holder of the Peace Nobel Prize, is accused by Muslims to stay silent on the problem. What is your position on that?
When the first sort of the event, the Buddhist monk, this is some harming Muslim community. That when that news come, I was in Washington. Some media people asked me. Then I expressed, oh, very sad. Then those Buddhists should imagine Buddha's face. That very moment when they feel some negative feeling, then visualize Buddha's face. If Buddha come there, definitely protect those Muslim brothers, sisters. So therefore, it is something very sad. And then, as a matter of fact, afterwards, I had a few occasion meeting with Aung San Suu Kyi as a Nobel laureate. Some Nobel laureate meeting. At one occasion, I think in London, briefly we met. I mentioned that. You should do something. Then she says, oh, very complicated. And the military government, you see, have some connection about these things. Then, from my part, I appealed to her, but she find some difficulties. So then I have no connection with Burmese, with Burma. I never been there.
So what astonishes us here in Europe, by Your Holiness, you are strictly non-violent. And what we see there coming from monks is violence. So this astonishes us because we believe here that, or let's say Buddhism has the image of being a strictly non-violent religion.
As I mentioned earlier, those with monk's robe or violence actually no longer Buddhist.
It's
like Islam.
Like the Muslims, they say,
yes.
Those who commit crimes,
once committed violence, terrorist,
yes.
They're no longer
I see.
genuine Buddhist and genuine Islam.
Right. Let's move back to our society here.
You see, these teaching not based on dress. So, one occasion in Mexico, I met with some Catholic, I think Catholic University. So they invited me. I went there, and many bishops there. So I told them, sometimes we religious people, our faith remain on our dress. So long they dress there and looks, say, as a holy person. When dress, what call?
Put away.
Remove. Then no longer genuine practitioner. So that's mistake. So many bishops, they really they agree or please hear like that, hear that sort of comment. So religion is mental attitude, not physical sort of appearances. With Buddhist monk's robe, if mentally anger, want to kill and implement killing, no longer Buddhist.
Does Your Holiness ever feel anger?
Yes, occasionally.
And how do you meet your anger? How do you meet your anger?
You know, my staff member, when they made some little mistake, and I shout. But that, just I think a few seconds, then nothing.
I see. We have spoken about anger. Let us talk, we're coming to the end already, but let us talk about another feeling that may lead to anger. Our society is nowadays defined much by the feeling of fear and anxiety.
Right.
We particularly feel the fear of losing our cultural identity here in Europe by immigration, by globalization. What do you think about that? Because you have the experience as a refugee, as someone who lives in exile. On the same side, your people are fighting for their cultural and religious identity. So in one person, you have both perspectives. What do you tell people here if they fear to lose their identity?
So for the time being, I always say, since a large number of refugees come from Africa, Arab area, firstly, I appreciate the extent receiving these refugees, give them shelter and facility. Wonderful. Especially German Chancellor. I think she really, showing human feeling. At the meantime, I right from the beginning, I sort of have the view, and also accordingly I express the European Union receiving these several thousand, now around 1 million refugees. You see, give them shelter for immediate sort of their difficulties, safe, and then to young children provide facility for education. Then young people should give training. Eventually, you see, they should think they are returned in their own homeland and rebuild their home. And then I think those are the nations who help them, you see, continuously help when they return in their own land, provide facility, missions, and in some cases need some fund. Provide.
I see.
So long run, I think whole Arab sort of people, you see, cannot come here, and Arab land become empty, or few individual. That's Arab area. There is a great potential. Let them build. Right.
You couldn't return to your homeland so far. If I ask you to make a perspective 50 years ahead, how do you believe the world will be in 50 years?
Future.
In the future.
50 years.
Yes.
Actually, 1996, I had opportunity meeting with Queen Mother of England. Then her own age, 96. So she almost observed whole century. I asked her, do you think world or humanity become better or same or worse? Without hesitation, she mentioned better. She make sort of the example. When she was young, nobody talked human right or right of self-determination. Nowadays, these things become universal.
I see.
So it is true. So therefore, then I think the past century, in early part, I think people, especially scientists, they are full of enthusiasm making nuclear weapon. The later part of 20th century, now more and more talking, more and more talks, you say, how to reduce this weapon. And now recent sort of years, you see, including I think Obama, now actually talking, banning or free nuclear weapon from our earth. So these are sign of positive. And then also the totalitarian system. Without a weapon, by their own people, changed. Soviet Union collapsed. Many Eastern European countries become free country. Like that. Now China, North Korea, a little bit sort of, particularly North Korea, but China also you see much changed.
Yeah.
The basic, I mean, generally still communist and the same constitution, but the reality much changed. Now one sort of big thing, I think big change, one example is now today China, about 400 million Buddhist population. During the Cultural Revolution, they deliberately destroy all faith. Now today revived Buddhism, very rapidly revived, and Buddhist number in China, as I mentioned earlier, is about 400 millions. Christian, I think less than 200 millions. These are big change.
So this means we can be positive and optimistic.
What?
We can be optimistic.
Certainly.
Okay.
I believe, you see, I believe humanity. And furthermore, in the recent years, some sort of our scientific sort of meeting, some dialogue, some scientists, through their investigation, they now confirmed basic human nature is more compassionate.
I see.
And then, they're quite easily understandable. The constant fear, constant anger, actually eating our immune system. More compassionate mind, more peace, that immense sort of help to maintain good health. If anyone who really have the conviction, the value of compassion, then all religion is immensely helpful to strengthening these inner value.
Your Holiness, we are already at the end, and I thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and your wisdom with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.